At Reddington Gulf. I hope all of you can see my screen. Okay, yeah, I believe it's visible.
Yes, Suhail,
Uh,
I can see your screen.
yeah, thank you, Bindu, for the confirmation. So today, uh, I'll be talking about the complexity and the feasibility analysis for the word development in automation anyway. But prior to that, I would like to give a brief overview of what automation anyway is as a company and its presence across the globe. Okay, and after that, I will be moving to the complexity and the feasibility analysis of the board development. Okay, so to start with, Automation Anywhere, they were actually established in the year 2003 and they are based headquartered in San Jose. At the moment, they have close to like 3,500 customers with them, and they have a strong global partner network of like 1,100 partners, and they have been innovating for the last 16 plus years. In addition to this, like they have deployed close to like 1.7 million bots across. Yeah, they have deployed almost 1.7 million bots across various organizations. In addition to this, they have been rated quite highly by Gartner, by Everest, by Forrester, by HFS, and the Nelson Hall. They have been featured in the leader squadron for RPM. So regarding their presence, I mean they are present across the globe, no matter what or which region you're working in. They have a presence over there. I mean they have a global presence across all continents, as evident from this slide. So just to give a brief introduction of what RPA is all about and what is this technology and how it helps organizations and how in achieving their digital transformation journey. So if you look what RPA is about, like people have a the wrong notion that when you speak of RPA, the moment the word robotic comes into the picture, they assume it to be some kind of hardware robot or something. No, but it is actually a non-physical entity, okay, that is capable of handling your transactions. So when you speak of RPO, I would say that RPO is basically a simple and a powerful business process automation software. Okay, it's an automation software that actually enables you to automate your processes that are rule based. Okay, any processes within your organization that are rule based can be automated. Okay, so robotic process automation basically enables you with the tools to create your own software bots, okay, to automate any business process. Now moving on, like if you look at the automation at anywhere advantage that it has got, it's basically a combination of attended automation, unattended automation, and cognitive automation. So by attended automation, what you can do is that you can actually develop bots and configure these bots. Okay, you can develop and configure these bots to work in parallel with the humans. Okay, they work together with the humans, and with the office automation, what I mean to say is that you fully uh, automate the bot or the robot, whatever you call it, by teaching it how to perform a particular task on its own. So you are actually scheduling a bot how to perform a task. Then you have something called as cognitive automation. And this involves more of artificial intelligence, and wherein you actual multiple unstructured data. You handle the data coming from unstructured form. No matter you have the data in any format, whether it be in a PDF format, whether it be in an email format, if it is an invoices or something, your bots are capable of reading the data from all this unstructured data format. Because in a typical scenario, what you and how you usually work is that you have data across your databases, for example, Oracle, SQL Server, HANA, and whatnot. So in a typical scenario, what you do is that when you want to create reports, you basically have data stored in this relational databases. Then you create a report on top of that. But what cognitive bot can do is that it has this ability to read the data in any form that you have. Okay, any form. Okay, so moving till date, Automation, they anyway, as I told in my introduction, they have employed like close to 1.7 million digital bots or digital workers across the globe. Like this slide is quite evident in the areas that they have deployed the bots. For example, they have deployed the bots in the general accounting, the management reporting, the treasury. Then, if you come to the procure to pay, uh, they have automated the complete PO process, purchase order process, the sales and distribution process, the payment process, the invoices process. Then if you come to order and the cash, they have automated the logistics and the delivery process. Okay, by automating the ERP software, they have automated the collections. Okay, in the supply chain, they have automated the demand management, material management, a lot of stuff. Now, in the IT technology, like in the information technology domain, they have automated a lot of network operations, service desk operation, desktop support, database admin, level one admin support, application, lot of stuffs, as you can see. Then on the human resource level, they have automated the onboarding of employees, the payroll, the performance management, the recruiting, a lot of stuff. Then you have various use cases in the retail also. As this is evident, they have automated a lot, I can say. Uh, Putting this in other words, what I would say is that uh, so when you speak of RPA, okay, it is capable of automating any application or any software that is rule based. Now, for example, suppose you are working with an ERP application, say it is an SAP ERP, whether be it on cloud or on prem, okay, whether be it in SAP, whether be in Microsoft Dynamics or Oracle ERP, no matter what application you have, you can automate. For example, allow me to give me one small example for this. Now, you receive a purchase order from one of your customers, okay, and that's in the PDF format. So in a typical scenario, so in a typical scenario, what you usually do is that, okay, I mean, an analyst, he logs into his email, okay. Then what he usually does is that he extracts the data. I mean, he looks at the PO number, he looks at the line item, he looks at the customer name, the customer code. Then what he does is that he needs to log on to this ERP application, no matter what application it is. Okay. Once he logs on to that particular application, what he does is that he navigates to the particular screen using T code in SAP or navigates to a specific form in Oracle ERP. Okay. Then he creates a PO. He assigns a PO number, then he has to manually enter all the line items that are there in the PO. Okay, so imagine if you are in a small organization wherein you have a workforce of like 5 to 10 people. Okay, it can be understood that what do you call, the workload is less. But imagine if you are working in an enterprise level organization where you have hundreds of POs coming in a day and you need to process like thousands of orders. I mean, and these thousands of orders have like multiple line items that need to be fed into the ERP system. So imagine the time it actually takes. I mean, a lot of time is actually consumed in this monotonous task. Okay, that is rule based, and there's no much human intelligence involved in it. Okay, so what basically an analysis is doing is that he's actually logging to his email, extracting the data and uploading. So what automation can do in here is that, okay, you can create a bot, fine, using automation anywhere, or is so how you design this bot is that you actually train this bot to open an email, no matter what email it might be, whether it be in Gmail, Yahoo, or your Outlook. So so for this you need to feed in the username and the password along with the right credentials and all that stuff. Okay. So first level, what you do is that you actually train the bot to access the email. Once you have trained the bot to access the email, what you do next is that in the next level you are actually training the bot to monitor the email to see if they have received any PDF files with the purchase order. So a bot has this capabilities to differentiate whether the PDF files that you are receiving in your email as an attachment is it a PO or a purchase order or something else. So once you do that, the bot is capable of extracting. Okay. So once you do that, the bot is capable of extracting this the data from the PDF. So there is a feature called IQ bot within the bots that is capable of reading what do you call the unstructured data that is there in the PO. So once it extracts the data, you can train the bot to log on to the ERP application that you have. Okay. So again, for this, when you're training the bot for this ERP application, you need to feed it with the right credentials. Okay. So it can navigate from screen to screen. You can train the bot to navigate from screen to screen, and you can define the path from which screen to which screen it needs to navigate to complete this process. So the thing is that the human intervention in this process is completely removed. Okay, there is no human intervention involved. You are actually automating this process. So imagine if you have this bot available at your enterprise 24 by 7, what kind of impact it can actually create for you. I mean, you have a bot that is capable of performing task error free. It is available 24 by 7. So just imagine how. So moving on to my main agenda of complexity and the feasibility analysis. Okay. So when you go ahead with the development of the board, the first and the most important thing for you to know is that is it feasible for me to automate a particular process? Okay. Now you within your organization you might have 50, 100 or 150 unlimited like many number of processes. Okay, that you wish to automate. But before that, what you need to do is that you need to check whether the bot that you're planning to automate, I mean the process that you're planning to automate, is it feasible for you to automate that process or not. So there are basically 5 steps before doing that. First and the foremost, what you need to do is that you need to gather the resources. Okay. Okay. For that particular process, by gathering the resources, what I mean to say is that you need to talk with all the stakeholders that are involved in this process, and you need to understand each and every point that is involved in this process. You okay. So for example, if you're planning to automate a process for an HR department, so you need to sit with the people of HR department and understand how the process flow from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 till end. Okay. Then you need to examine the process. As I said, you need you need to examine the processes and note down the steps. You need to understand the logic. Okay. And second thing, you need to and the penultimate thing what you need to do is that you need to check for elements that can prevent automation. Like, are there any roadblockers for your automation? Okay. Like if there is any human judgment involved, you need to take that into consideration. If it is a rule based, you can like go ahead. I mean, if there is no human intelligence involved and it's actually a rule based, quite repetitive and high volume in nature, that can be a good uh, candidate for automation. And then the final stage what you need to do is that verify if any elements require further testing. So to start with this feasibility analysis, for example, suppose you are working in an HR department. Okay, and you receive like close more than 10,000 CVs per month. Imagine the amount of time that you need to spend on processing this 10,000 CVs manually. Like what kind of works? I mean, a mammoth time is required. I mean, huge efforts are required just to navigate through the CVs and shortlisting the CVs. I mean, you can imagine like the kind of pressure and the that you will have as an analyst working within the HR department, or as a person responsible for managing the recruitment team. So this is a sample process wherein the HR department is receiving 10,000 resumes per month. Okay, Out of these, 5,000s are in the scanned format. Okay. So before moving to this sample process, how you can know whether a process is feasible or not is that, let me show you a template that is capable of doing. Okay, there is something called as feasibility matrix. This is a template that is actually provided by automation anywhere. Okay, wherein you assess the feasibility of a process, like how easy it is or how difficult it is to automate a process. So you have something called as the business unit. uh, so you just can enter the whatever business unit you're working with. For example, I can enter the BAG, business application group, whatever vertical you have, the automation, what is the process name, HR, like whoever the project manager is, so hail. So all this information you need to enter in this feasibility template, and what is the team size like, okay, whatever you want. Okay, so these are various questions that you have in this template, okay, that you need to answer, okay, to come to a conclusion to see the feasibility of automating a process. So the first question that you have is that, I mean, this is a standard template. Okay, you cannot change this template. This is a standard template. Okay. Okay. For example, what percentage of your input is in scanned format? Okay. Now I have got various options in here, like 0 to 15, 16 to 30, like up to 81 to 100. So for this, what I need to do is that I need to talk to my HR department, understand like what percentage of documents do we have in scan format. So on talking to my HR department, I come to know that there are almost 5,000 documents that are in scanned format. So what I do is that the total documents that I received was 10,000, and almost close to like 5,000 of them were in scanned format. So what I will do is that I will just select a range of 31 to 50% for it. Okay. Then do you have access to the scanned data in the electronic format? Okay. So according to this process, yes, I have the access to the data in the scan format. Yes. Okay. Now, what percentage of your input is in electronic format, which allows Control C plus Control V? Okay. How if I can do the copy paste? So here it mentions that half of the resumes can be copy pasted using the keyboard shortcut. Okay. So based on that answer, I'm just changing my value in here. I just select 31 to 50. What percentage of your input is unstructured? Okay, let me see if I have about a quarter. Here it mentions that about a quarter of input the HR receives is in unstructured format. So let me change that. So that will be like close to 16 to 30%. Okay. In case of structured data, do we have a standard template or a layout? I believe, okay, these template needs to be updated. Okay, this needs to be sorry, these template needs to be updated on a quality. Yes, we do have a template for that. The HR department has created a standard template to update the data. Yes, there is a standard template. Yes. Okay, are there frequent updates in template? So all you see over here, all these questions are standard questions. Okay, it's a template that is provided by automation anyway. So I mean, you can use this template to assess the feasibility. So I'm just doing a live walkthrough using a HR process. So what do I have is this: are there frequent updates in the template? Let me see. The template needs to be updated, yeah, so on a quarterly basis. So what I will do is that there are some updates on a quarterly basis. Yes. Okay. Does the process involve working in a Citrix environment? Okay. So the process does not require to work on Citrix. Okay. Fine. I select no. If yes, can you do? Okay. So it's no. I will not be changing this value. Can the data, okay, if no, it is giving me a further option saying that can the data be extracted from other systems? Okay, the data can be extracted from other systems. Yes. Okay, fine. Does the process include judgmental decision making considering multiple criteria? Okay, so the process involves, does not, hardly involves any kind of judgmental calls or decision makings. Hardly involves. So I'll just select this as no. What percentage of volume has dependency on clarification for customer through email? So for this, what I have is that very few emails require clarification from my end customers. So I'll just select this from 0 to 15. How many FTEs are involved in process? By FTE, what I mean to say is that full-time equivalent. Okay. So you might be assuming what full-time equivalent is. So it is basically the amount of time that a person spends in a day to execute a task. Like there's a task and a person takes complete 8 hours in a day, that is actually equivalent to one FTE. So how many FTEs are involved? Full time, how many persons? 5 FTEs are involved in this process. Let me change this value. Okay. What is the average daily volume? Okay. Flowing through this process. I have the average volume through this process is 30. And what is the average handling time? So as per my discussion with the HR department, he says the average handling time of this particular process, okay, it's actually 2 hours. Okay. So once I feed in the data in this particular template, okay, I have my feasibility index score and how feasible it is for me to automate this particular process. So when you are going for the bot development to within your organization, you actually need to take this template, okay, take this template or share this once you have this template with you, I mean you can share this with the process owners to fill this out for each and every processes to determine the feasibility. So I have a feasibility index of 30. This means that it is highly feasible for me to automate this particular process. Now you might be wondering like what if I get 10, what if I get 5 as a value in my feasibility index? So for that it is actually defined in here. If the score attained in this template is between 0 to 14, then it's not a good candidate for automation. You should not be looking at it. And if the score is between 15 to 28, okay, if the score is between 15 to 28, then automation is possible, but you will have some challenges that needs to be looked on. And if the score is really high from 29 to 35, then it is actually a good candidate for automation. So before moving to do a feasibility assessment of your process, if it can be automated or not, but and how you can remove out the human intervention from it. I mean, this is something that you need to fill up. Okay, this is something that you need to follow. This is the standard template that comes in from automation anyway, and you need to fill in the information, the correct information to get the right result. I hope I mean you are getting this. I mean all of you can understand this. Now you might be okay. Now sorry for that. Okay. So again, I'm just reiterating this. This is the standard template. I mean you do not need to change any of the questions. Okay. These are the standard questions. So this is how you do a feasibility assessment for the board development. Okay. Now moving on. Once you have decided, okay, it is feasible for you to automate a particular process. Now what you need to do is that you need to assess the complexity of this model, how easy or how medium or how difficult it is for you to automate a process. So the feasibility is done. For the example that we were considering right now, a sample process in HR department wherein we wanted to automate this the CV processes, the CV automation processes. Okay, we are capable of, like, it is highly feasible for us to automate this process, and we have the feasibility. Now moving on to the next stage, the complexity assessment. So when you come to the complexity assessment, as I was talking earlier or telling earlier, you need to see how easy or how difficult it is, like, to automate this particular process. So for this, again, you have a different template, okay, that is called as complexity assessment template. I'll be showing you shortly how it actually looks like and how you can fill in the information in this complexity assessment template. Okay, so complexity in this when you're doing complexity assessment template, you're determining the complexity of automation, and you will be estimating the efforts for the development, like how many weeks or how many days will it take you for doing the development or implementing this bot within your organization. So it basically helps you standardize your efforts. Okay, for example, let me show that template to you. This is the complexity template. Let me open it for you. Okay, so this is an another template that is provided by Automation Anywhere. Okay, wherein you need to fill in the information like the process name, the manual hours, the personal quantity, the department, the technology landscape, the information silos. I'll be going step by step what does these metric mean. Okay, and I'll be filling in the information, and you can see how it will give me the estimated time for a small a low complexity model development, or the time it takes for a complex bot to develop. Okay, for example, I have a particular process. Let me name this process as process A, process 1. Now, again, as I told earlier, these are the standard questions that you have, and you do not need to modify these questions that you see in here. Okay, you have something called as manual hours. Okay, so you need to assume like how many, if you come here, how many employees are performing the task. Just a minute, just a minute, sir. Okay, okay. So when you speak of manual hours, you need to see, you need to pull in the, just click on this drop down and see how many manual hours you are putting on a particular process. Okay. For example, let me select 41 plus hours. Now you need to see how many people are involved in this process. Personal quantity means how many persons are involved in this process. For example, if I have my 10 employees performing this process, or 5 employees, okay, or 3 employees processing process, and I might have even have 15 or 20. So for this, what I need to do is that I will come over here on this particular thing, personal quantity. I'll click on this drop down and type in the number of people that I have for this particular process. So if I have more than 9 people, I just can select this 9 plus, whether it be 15, 20, no matter what number of people I have. So for this example, I just take 3 to 8 people are available for a particular process. So next comes the department. How many departments are using this particular process or working with a particular process? As evident from this slide, okay, like there like when you have a process within a department, there are multiple, I mean, when you have a process within your department, okay, you have got interdependencies on other department also. So what you need to see is that how many of those departments are involved in this process. Okay, you might have a process that involves HR and IT. You might have a process that involves IT and the business. Within business, you have multiple segregations. Okay, so you need to understand like how many business departments are are using your particular process. As you can see, some of the department examples like the IT, the database, finance, HR, analytics, process improvements, operations, marketing, sales, customer services. So these are just an example. But in addition to this, you have got multiple departments. So in this example, for example, I have a process where it is being used by 4 different departments. Say for IT, finance, database, and process improvement. So this means that I have 4 departments that are using my process. So what I need to do is that I will come to this template. I will change the number of departments that that are using my process, and I will select. So you have just 3 options: 1 to 2 departments, 3 to 4 departments, and 5+. So if you might have a question like, what if I have 10 departments within my organization that are using a process that okay. So what you can do is that you just can select this 5+. Now comes the technology landscape metric. So you might think what a technology landscape metric is. So by technology landscape metric, what I mean to say is that you need to understand what all tools or technologies are being used, okay, in this particular process. Whether an email can be used, okay. Then you have an inbuilt application, SAP ERP application, Oracle ERP. No matter what applications you have, I mean, you can have any desktop-based application, cloud-based applications, the Word, the PDF, the terminal emulators that you have from the Unix system. It takes a lot of them. So what you need to do is that you need to actually count the number of applications that you're using in a particular process. So for my example, suppose let's say I want to automate a PO, okay, a PO process. So for this, what I need to do is that first I will be accessing my email, okay. Second, I will monitor for the purchase order, whether be it in a PDF or a doc format. Then I will log on to the SAP ERP application. I will log on to the SAP ERP application, okay, fine. Then I will enter the information. So how many applications that I'm using in what do you call in this process? First is the email. Second is the PDF and the doc. So that makes one each, one PDF, one doc. Okay. Third is the SAP ERP application. So in total, I'm using 4 applications. So what I need to do is that I'll just go to this template and select 3 to 4. Fine. Then I need to come to the information silos. Okay. So you might so coming to the information silos. So this actually goes a bit more detail of how you will be entering this information. For example, if let's take the example that you have. How you if you're using an Excel sheet, you need to see how many sheets you have within an Excel workbook. If you have 4 Excel sheets, you need to assign it a value of 4. Okay, and if you are working with a PDF document, so each page in a PDF document gets a value of 1. Okay, and if you're working with the email, it gets a value of 1 also. But if you are working with a database, like any database that you have, whether be it Oracle, SAP ERP, Oracle, SAP HANA, SQL Server, you need to assign it a value of 3. Okay, so fine. So for example, say I have 2 databases that I'm working with in my process. So what I need to do is that each database I need to assign a value of 3. 3 plus 3 will be 6. Fine. And I'm working with one email ID. So 6 plus 1 will be 7. In addition to this, I have a PDF document that I have wherein I have 5 pages. So what I need to do is that I need to sum this up. So it will be 7 plus 5, 12. Information silos. I'll select between 6 to 20. Next comes the process tab. Okay. How many processes steps are involved? Okay. So for example, you're pulling 10 fields from a website and pulling the data from 100 Excel columns, entering data into 23 website fields. So what you need to do is that again each page gets a value of 1. Each column within the Excel field gets a value of 1, and each website field gets a value of 1. So you need to add up all these values, okay, and enter the information. So in this example, I'm putting in 10 fields, pulling 10 fields from my website page. That means that I have a value of 10. Then for Excel, pulling the data from 100 columns. That means a value of 100. Then I have 23 fields coming from my website. So when I sum this up, this gives me like 133 processes. I'll enter that information, 133, 50 to 100. Now data size. So data size actually, it's actually quite evident by from this name, like how many records or rows you have within your database that you're working with, or how many records or rows you're processing with this particular process that you're working in. For example, so if you click on this drop down, you have got multiple values like 1 to 500, 500 to 2000, and 2000 plus. So for my process, let's assume that like I have more than 2000 rows. I'll select the data size. Fine. Now here comes the business logic, the deployment, the standard. So you need, this is more of subjective in nature. The, the business logic, how it is the low, medium, or high. So for this, the process owner needs to decide whether the logic involved in this process is it low, medium, or high. So this is subjective in nature. Okay, a process owner and a subject matter expert, they have to sit together and decide whether to select low, medium, or high. So for example, for my example, what I will do is that I will select a value of uh, medium. Okay, and deployment complexity, what I will do is that, for example, if I'm working in a bank, it's obvious that the deployment complexity will be really high. And if I'm working in a small organization, the deployment complexity might be low to medium. So for this example, let's assume that we have a high deployment complexity. I mean, how you can standardize it? So now you might be assuming what standardize is. So by standardizing, what I mean to say is that it actually tells you how long it will take to define and standardize the process for automation. Okay, this is what it will tell you. So for standardizing the automation, this particular piece of process, I'll just select it as medium. Okay, and I should be getting in the value here. Just a minute. Okay. So once you fill in these values, I mean these particular the results that you see in here will be populated. Just I don't know why this is not working. Let me look at my. Wait a minute. Let me open this. I'll show you exactly how it looks like. Okay. This is how it will look like. You see this particular thing. So these will actually give you an estimation of the efforts that will be required if it is a low, if it is a medium, or a high. Okay, so this actually empowers you and enables you, okay, to perform a complexity analysis for your bot development. So when you're working with and some external consultants or like with your team, I mean, it actually enables them, it actually helps them to follow a standard process. For example, now if I have a manual process, let me change the values and show this here. I just see at the moment you have this 3 weeks for low, 4 weeks for medium, and 6 weeks for high. Let me change the values in here and see how it reflects. I'm just changing the value. So department, I have like how many departments I have. Just change the values. 5 plus departments. I have here 5. Okay. See the values are changing. Look for this technology landscape. I'm selecting 1 to 2. So if I have 1 to 2 technology landscape, that my efforts, if I'm are between 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, 3 to 6 weeks. If I'm changing my technology landscape, by technology landscape, this means the number of technologies that are involved. If I'm selecting from 5 plus technologies, it is actually changing from 4 to 12 weeks. So this is actually dependent on the technology landscape. So I have this information silos. I just change it to 21. Okay. So as you can see, the moment I'm changing my values in this particular process, the results are being affected proportionally. Okay. So these is a standard template that is provided by automation anywhere to help you with the assessment of your board development. To sum all this up, okay, anytime or whenever you decide to move ahead with the deployment of a bot to automate your processes within the organization, within your company, what you need to do is that the first thing is the feasibility analysis. So feasibility analysis, you have this sample template that you need to follow. Okay, you'll follow this template, and once you fill in all this information, you get a feasibility index and how feasible it is to do the automation. Once you do that feasibility index, what you need to do is that you need to go to the complexity assessment part. Okay, wherein you need to fill in this information, the information that you see marked in green. Yeah, the moment you fill this information, you will get the estimated development efforts over here. Okay. So to start with, I mean, you can play around with this template for you. Like if you want, like I can send this template to you. Like if can have the email IDs, I'll be sending this template to you, and you can play around with it. So that's pretty much it from my side. So let's see if we have any questions coming in. Yes, we do have. So you guys can reach out to me anytime. I can share you my email ID over here in case you have any issues accessing the cloud platform for automation anywhere at paddingtongulf.com. Yeah, this is my email ID. You can contact me on this email ID. Okay. Any issues you have, please feel free to contact me. Okay, then. Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot. Stay safe. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.